This is James Holder, Fightful TV, in association with Matt Kling's Gym Mobile. We're in Manchester today for the press conference between Anthony Crolla, WBA lightweight world champion, defending against Jorge Linares. Also on the line, the Ring Magazine belt and the WBC Diamond belt.
Correct.
Don't get to see that belt very often, to be honest.
I wish I didn't have to see that belt very often because it costs about 25 grand.
Did it actually?
Yeah. Wow. But it is the nuts. I think 2 fighters have won it in the past.
Yeah, can you say who?
Sergio Martinez and Floyd Mayweather.
Okay.
And they've sent through the picture of it, and it's got Crolla's picture. You know, they put them on the individual bits of the belt, and Crolla's next to Muhammad Ali.
Wow.
Which is just, you know, listen, this story.
When you signed Anthony Crolla, did you think you would get to this point?
Do you know what happened? I put Anthony Crolla in a fight against Gavin Rees, right? And Rees was my fighter. We were doing an event in Bolton, and I thought Anthony Crolla sells a ticket, and Gavin Rees will beat him easy, right? So let's use Crolla as an opponent, right? Turned up, he sold about 500 tickets, and he beat Rees. It was a close fight, but he just about deserved the win. And then, we started boxing him at the arena, and then I said to Joe Gallagher, I really feel like we should make the John Murray fight. So it's 2 Manchester lads. It's a good fight for Crolla. He stops him. Everyone went, they don't, you know, he's not a big puncher. I went, no, trust me, he stops Murray. Anyway, did the fight, he stopped Murray. And then we started to build some support in Manchester. And then I remember the phone call when I finally got Crolla the Richard Abril fight for the WBA world title. And I remember phoning him up and saying to him, mate, you're fighting for the world title in Manchester. And he couldn't believe it. And then I was actually in Vegas for the Khan fight. He was fighting Alexander. And I got a text message from Joe Gallagher saying, call me ASAP. Whenever you get that text from a manager or a trainer, it's only bad news, right? So I phoned him up and he was like, could hardly speak. He said, Crolla's been attacked, tried to stop a burglary. He's in hospital, he's fractured his skull, he's broken his ankle. I can't believe it. And I'm sort of thinking, I guess the Abril fight's off then. By the way, I had to pay Abril 50,000 non-refundable advance as well for that, so I was delighted. But anyway, not that it's all about the money, but I couldn't believe it. And we lost the Abril fight, obviously. And I spoke to Crolla, and although I promised him I would get him another world title fight, when you get an opportunity like that we spun out from the Abril fight, they're so difficult to manoeuvre that I sort of thought, somehow we got to find a way. Anyway, fast forward, Darlis Perez, and fast forward an unbelievable night of boxing at the Manchester Arena, where I just remember in the last round looking at my clock thinking, please, ring the bell, and he's done it. And the final bell went, everybody got in the ring. And you know, when the judges are doing the scorecards, I sort of always go over and just try and have a little peek, you know. And 9 times out of 10 you can't see. And I just remember that was one of those times where I could see, but I couldn't believe what I could see, that it was a draw, and actually one judge had given it by, I think, to 3 rounds to Perez or something like that. And you know, everyone always looks at me before a decision hoping that I know, and they go, Ed, have we got it, and I never tell anyone anyway, because I don't think they should know anyway, that drama, that reaction. But probably by looking at my face you would have known that we didn't. And Michael Buffer read it out. Michael Buffer said he didn't even want to read it out. You know, he was that disappointed with the scoring. We got the rematch ordered by the WBA. Crolla knocked out Darlis Perez in just one of the great nights. And then we get Ismael Barroso, you know, put on us as a mandatory. I saw him knock out Kevin Mitchell. Crolla was there that night, he was sitting next to me. We all hoped that Mitchell would win. And I said to him, all right, listen, let me try and find a way. We'll try and fight someone else other than Barroso. Crolla went, no, I want to fight Barroso. I said, no, but you don't have to, you know, I know he's the mandatory, but maybe we can swerve him or do unification. And no, I'll fight Barroso. Anyway, he fought Barroso and just, in one of the great performances, knocked out Barroso. And then we stopped there and I said, you know, who do you want to fight? You know, we had the politics stuff with Flanagan, it was a bit messy. And he said, well, I want to fight Jorge Linares. I was like, mate, there's easier options out there. No. He said, WBC. He said, do you think you can make that for the Ring Magazine belt? The Ring Magazine belt, James, to fighters, I can't explain how much they want to win that belt. This is a belt, there's no sanction fees, there's no money. It's a belt built on the purity of the sport to be the number one in a division. And when the Ring Magazine put a belt up for a fight, it's to decide the best man in a division. And to a fighter, that is everything. And with Crolla Linares, you have a fight that in a world of sport that is built on 40% glory, 50% money, 10% politics, not just boxing, all sports nowadays. This is a fight built on 100% glory. They're both going to do very well financially, but that's not even coming into it. They just want to be the best in the division. And that is so refreshing in today's world, where you have a young man like Anthony Crolla who's come back from what he's come back from and has, look at his run of fights, Perez, Barroso, Linares. This is the biggest fight in the 135-pound division, and he is an absolute joy to work with, and he will knock Jorge Linares out in the second half of the fight. If he doesn't, please don't replay this clip, and I reserve my right to change the edit, but that is what I believe. 10th round knockout for Anthony Crolla. And he said Joshua. I believe.
We'll come to Joshua.
Yeah, I bet you would. Got to get your views up.
Got to get the views up somehow. I mean, Anthony Crolla, he's a remarkable story. How high would it rate in terms of a British fighter winning, a big win for a British fighter?
Well, I said the other day in an interview, someone had a go at me because I said, if you're a British champion, I think I said, it doesn't mean a great deal. And someone said, that's disgusting, how can you say that? What I mean is that in the commercial world of profiles of fighters, if you are a British champion, it doesn't mean a great deal in the grand scheme of things. Okay? Of course, the Lonsdale belt is one of the most prestigious belts in world boxing, and to become a British champion is a great achievement. But I'm talking about the commercial world. I'm talking about the real world, the man on the street world that you can go up to and say, have you heard of X? We have 14 world champions. So you have to do something remarkable. You have to do something extraordinary to stand out from the rest. That's what Anthony Crolla's doing. If Anthony Crolla beats Jorge Linares on September 24th, he is undoubtedly the fighter of the year. At the moment, you'd probably have to say it was Carl Frampton for his wins over Quigg and Santa Cruz. But Crolla, Perez, Barroso, Linares, and the story, and I never looked at Anthony Crolla when he was in prize fighter, getting beat, I think, in the quarterfinals or the semi-finals, or when he was fighting for his career against Kieran Farrell for the English title. I don't think anyone looked at him and said, that's a future world champion. So how did it happen? How did he beat Perez twice? How did he knock out Barroso? How did he knock out Jorge Linares? And the only thing I can put my finger on is desire. Something happened that night when he nearly lost it all. Something happened when he got robbed against Perez. And he is, although he has the greatest smile, he may have the biggest heart, he is the most tenacious, determined little son of a bitch I have ever seen. I tell you what, in terms of executing a game plan, intelligence, toughness, he has got it all. And I can't believe how far this journey has gone. You're lucky that you didn't listen to that last couple of minutes, otherwise you would have got hard on.
Missed it. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Sound right.
No worries.
Thanks a lot.
All right, mate. I'll be up next week anyway because I'm up in Sheffield and that. So yeah, I've got some stuff to send Shahid. Joe, I didn't give you any compliments. All right.
Don't need them.
Tonight. Look at that geezer, yeah, Callum. Yeah. So just giving Anthony Crolla a blowjob, I think we were, but I can't. And momentum is such a big part of sport, and that's why we're taking this fight, because we're just on this locomotive dream train. If you say locomotive, can you say train as well, or is that like just interpreted the same? We're on this locomotive dream that we don't know where it's going to take us. And he said up there, Anthony, I see this as a legacy fight. This is the kind of fight where you're going to be remembered about being the best, being number one. And I think we're all guilty, and me included, of sometimes losing the focus of what pure sport is about. And I think when you see events like the Olympics, it makes you realise, actually, that sport is not just about the money. This is a tough sport. Fighters have got to earn the money, they've got to be rewarded. But if you can have the emphasis on glory, success and winning, the rest will come if you've got the right team. Do you know what I mean? So you've got the Olympics, people out there, it's not about the money. It's about winning Olympic gold. And boxing should be about winning world titles. And
no
doing
bonus for a gold medal.
No, exactly. And doing outrageous things. The bonus comes commercially, by the way. Don't just be fooled by that. I mean, you win a gold medal.
No, but I mean for like outright,
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
for like the games.
Yeah, and most countries do. But it makes you realise, and boxing's a murky, horrible world, and you can become money orientated. And listen, I'm probably guilty of that myself. Certainly fighters are. But I think sometimes we just need to keep focused that sport is about winning. It's about being the best. And that's why this fight is so refreshing, because it is the best v the best. And, I can't wait for September 24th.
Let's have a little talk about the undercard. We obviously see John Ryder and Jack Arnfield. Interesting fight in itself. We know Jack, we've seen him sort of challenge Blackwell for the British title. We've seen Ryder in some great fights. Who else can we see on the card?
Well, we had Buglioni against Burton, but Buglioni got cut, so he's off the card. You've got Isaac Lowe against Afishi Munyai, who fought Scott Quigg. It's a good fight for the Commonwealth title. Burton will still be on. We're looking also to get Callum Johnson to challenge for the Commonwealth title. Conor Benn on the card as well. There's a GB star, Lyndon Arthur, going to be debuting. He's from Manchester as well. Got Marcus Morrison defending his WBC international title as well. I see people. Obviously, you've got the Liverpool undercard, which is outrageous, and you've got this one, which is, I think, a word to describe it's going to be solid. But the main event is huge. So, people say, we're not getting the undercard in Manchester, we're getting in Liverpool. Well, that's because the main event is much bigger. So that's just how it is. But there's a couple of fights to be added to the Manchester card, and Ryder Arnfield's a good fight as well. Ryder, although he's world ranked, he hasn't really cleaned up at domestic level by any means. He got beat by Blackwell. Arnfield got beat by Blackwell in a good fight on points. Ryder got stopped. Arnfield's going to have some big support here for this fight. I think it's a really good fight, and it's going to tell us where John Ryder's at as well.
2 weeks before that, obviously got Gennady Golovkin coming over to take on Kell Brook.
Yeah,
He's a monster.
I have to stop you there, James, because I just have to readjust, because it's very difficult to conduct an interview with a hard-on. So, September the 10th. I can't wait, and I'll tell you what, I really believe Kell Brook's going to do it. I spoke to him on the way up. His weight is perfect for a middleweight, make him middleweight.
So he's basically gone right up to come down as if he was a middleweight.
Yeah, he's not. But basically, let's say he's gone right up. He wasn't training. Still fit, but he's gone into camp the same weight that he would do if he was making 10 stone 7. Okay. And even at this stage now, I won't tell you his weight, but he had a check weight recently, and he was 12.9, was he, or something like that. So, but he's probably £1 or £2 heavier than he would be at this stage trying to make welter. So I'm so excited to see him not depleted, to see him full of energy, full of power. The bad news for him is it's against Triple G. If it was against any other middleweight champion, great. I'd have him as the favourite. But whatever you do not underestimate Kell Brook in this fight. He's sparring so well. He's looking so fit and strong, and he has got a little swagger about him, which says, I'm going to shock the world. And a victory for Kell Brook against Gennady Golovkin would go down with the great victories. Again, we talk about doing something different, doing something outrageous, wanting to say, create history where people look back and say, do you remember when Kell Brook moved up 2 weights and beat Golovkin? And I can't wait for the fight. You're going to see a great fight full of excitement. It's going to be one of them where you're going to be watching like this, because that's how it is when GGG fights, isn't it? But you're not going to see Kell Brook go in and bottle it. You're going to see him execute a game plan. You're going to see him work off the jab. You're going to see him probably winning the early rounds. He's got to get Golovkin's respect early. Somehow he's got to hurt him.
Do you believe that
I
Kell
do.
Brook
I do.
will be
I believe that Kell Brook is a special fighter. What he's trying to do here is well beyond the levels that we've discussed in the past. You know, I believe, and listen, maybe, you know, I don't believe I'm deluded. I believe he beats Pacquiao. I think some people watching this would agree with me. I believe he beats all the other welterweights out there right now. But he's moving to middleweight to box Gennady Golovkin. It's outrageous. But Kell Brook is not quite wired up right. He's a little bit crazy. And you got to be a crazy motherfucker to do what he's doing. But he's doing it with a smile on his face. He's doing it with a grin. And that makes you a very dangerous man. He wants to feel the power of Golovkin. Are you mad? Let's not do it too much. But that's his mentality. Do you know, he's excited. He's not going in there going, oh, God, blimey. Oh, mate, you know, I've got a few million quid here, but I've just got to dance around and not get hit too much. And he's going, I've got to go in there, I've got to get his respect. I've got to be electric with a jab, I've got to hit him with that right hand and back him up, or whatever I've got to do. And that's why the fans can expect a great fight. Can't wait, huge event.
Win or lose, will we see Kell Brook at 147 again, in your honest opinion?
I think it'll be difficult. That's the truth. I mean, you know, you've got everyone high on Errol Spence, who is an exceptional fighter.
Great against Bundu.
Yeah, but listen, Bundu's 41, 42. Bundu's a good fighter, but he also had a life and death with Frankie Gavin. No disrespect to Frankie Gavin, but Kell dealt with him easily in 6 rounds. So I think that didn't tell us a great deal other than what we already know, which is Spence is excellent. It's a big fight, Spence against Brook. It's 75-25, which can be nice. They'll call that on October the 26th, so we can ask for an exception. We could have a unification, or we could fight Errol Spence, or you may never see Kell Brook at 147 again. Anything's possible. Bearing in mind, Kell Brook is fighting Gennady Golovkin on September 10th for the Unified Middleweight World Championship. Anything is possible.
We've seen announcements of Anthony Joshua, potentially not from you.
From John Inverdale on the BBC, very nice.
What's going on? Usually you like to do these.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it, but I thought, yeah, it's probably 5 or 6 million people watching. You crack on, John.
Fair enough, can't argue with John there. Is there any truth in it? It was
bits of it, yeah. I mean, 26th is the likely date, yeah. Could be the 19th, but 26th is a likely date. Could be Manchester. It won't be London, that's for sure.
Could it be Scotland? They loved him in Scotland.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is the size of the arena. You've got Hydra, I think, can hold 12,000, but obviously Manchester's 21. Millennium Stadium, can we put a fight on and a card on that can sell deep into the tens of thousands? Quite possibly. In terms of the opponents, I think the 3 who are real likely candidates, Parker, Stiverne, Pulev. I think it will come from one of those 3. All good fights, all good step-ups. So I think in the next 10 days we'll have that drawn down, and obviously, you know, July and August used to be a period where the power players in the boxing world would go and sit on a sun lounger and turn their phone off. Now that can't happen. You know, you're checking it every 10 minutes and you're in the pool with your kids, and you get out of the pool and you've had 8 missed calls from fighters and wanting to know when they fight. So at the moment, I'm putting together around 20 shows for next season with around 10 fights on each card. It's 200 fights. And you've got 30 or 40 fighters who want to know when they're fighting next. In fact, I had to have a little ding-dong with Dillian White last night, who says, come on, mate, calling me and texting me a million times a day. Come on, bro, I want to know when I'm fighting. I said, all right, don't worry, listen, I'm dealing with it. Sends me a text, you're taking a piss, you are. Phone him up, Dylan, listen, I've just got back from holidays. I'm working on it. I'm dealing with 40 fighters. You're boxing on October the 8th. Be quiet and let me call you back when I know exactly who you're fighting. Oh, all right then. So it's difficult, and we've got a lot of fighters to satisfy.
White Chisora?
December. Yeah. I want Dillian to fight Sam Sexton for the British title. I want him to win that belt.
Do you think that's important for his development as a fighter?
I won't worry too much about his development as a matchroom fighter. It's about being a development as for you, and to win the British heavyweight title is prestigious, and to defend it is more prestigious. So Dillian's come back with a couple of good wins, good win over Dave Allen, you know, and just keep on going. We can build towards a Chisora fight. I think it's a fun fight. I think the build-up's great. You'll love it because it will get you so many views. So yeah, I mean, you know, Dylan's not saying I want Joshua, I want this. It's just about. I said to him last night, we need to make a fight that people are interested in. You know, and this goes back to like Campbell against Derry Matthews, a great example.
Great fight.
It is, but you know, Campbell against Mendes, whilst it was good for Luke's personal development, it wasn't a fight that the public can get their teeth into, right? They can with Matthews against Campbell. And they're the kind of fights we can make. Farag against Burnett. You know, Ryan Burnett against a Mexican for WBC International, not really. And I think that can affect your own performance if you're a little bit flat. Now, you'll see Ryan Burnett fight Farag in Liverpool, right, getting booed. Now we'll see what Ryan Burnett's made of. Now we'll see if he's as special as we all think he is. And same with Luke Campbell. Because when Luke Campbell walks out, he'll have 9,000 Scousers booing him. Right? Let's see how good you are. That's what we want to see, because we've got so many fighters. We need to know how good you are. Right? We'll give you all the development you need, and then sooner or later, you've got to show us if we're right.
Almost 2 or 4 years to the day since Anthony Joshua won his gold medal. Out of the crop of Olympic boxers, was there anyone that overly impressed you and you looked at them and thought their style would suit the pros? Or is there any imminent deals for any of the GB stars?
Partly because a lot of our fighters spar up in GB and I know them, and partly because it's my job to know them. I know the fighters inside out already, really, in terms of what they're capable of and their style and stuff like that. What the Olympics shows you is, can they do it on the big stage? Some were very unlucky in the draw. You know, Fowler, Cordina, Josh Kelly did really well. Kez, although didn't progress, he's a very talented fighter. Joe Joyce, we know, seen him spar numerous rounds with Joshua.
Even your fire.
Yeah, exactly. Joe Joyce is a tough man. Buatsi, who I now call Buatsi because he's got a medal. I used to call him Batsui, but I know I can't do that now because he's got a medal, and I'd quite like to sign him. But you know, he's another fighter I think's got a huge future ahead of him. I think he's got a style suited to the pro game. To be honest, like, although people think that I've signed them already, I've not spoke to any fighter.
So you've not signed any of the current crop? Then?
No one. And I've not even spoke to one of the current GB fighters about turning pro and any deal for them.
If you had to pick one out of that crop, who would you choose?
Well, I think based on the performances in the Olympics and the potential, I would have to say, well, Buatsi or Joyce. You know, I think Buatsi B team, but I think to a lot of people. You run out of battery?
No, go on, it's getting this running out.
Okay.
It's the other journalist.
Yeah. But again, it's not my style, James, to like start texting people saying, "Hello, mate, saw you in the Olympics. Can we have a meet up to discuss your career?" They know where I am, and it's not hard to get in touch with me. And someone will, because they'll have people working for them. My advice to them, as my advice was to Anthony Joshua, go and see everybody, see what's on offer.
On that note, thank you very much for your time.
No problem, James. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, and I'll catch you real soon. Cheers.